This podcast is a quest for well-being, a quest for a meaningful life through the exploration of fundamental truth. Enlightening ideas, insights on physical, mental, and spiritual health. The inspiration is love. The aspiration is to awaken new ways of thinking that can lead us to a new way of being well. Welcome to Body, Mind, and Soul Healing Conversations.
Soul Work with the Moon, as well as energy healing workshops, are integral parts of Goddess and the Moon's mission to restore soul connection to as many people as possible. Janae guides beautiful souls like you to feel better, to uncover their greatness, to establish new solid boundaries, and to discover your core purpose. Valeria interviews Janae Bell. A moon guide by nature, Janae loves to work with the moon, practice yoga, and meditate. As a yoga and meditation instructor with 200 hours of training at the My Vinyasa Practice Institute, she uses the moon as a tool to achieve her goals and align with her highest self. Through this, she created Goddess and the Moon, a moon circle project where she gathers with others in a circle to open their hearts to one another, share, explore, and heal through the magic of lunar rituals. She strives to help others find their inner magic through every circle she holds. Meet Janae at goddess-andthemoon.com. Here's the interview with Janae Bell.
In your own words, who is Janae Bell?
I love that. I would say Janae Bell is soft and nurturing. I am such a Cancer to the T. I am a Cancer sun, Scorpio moon, and Capricorn rising. And I really embody the Cancer in me. I feel like I was put on this earth to help people feel, to create sacred spaces. And really the Capricorn in me works hard, and I'm very ambitious. And I always honor myself and know that through all the trials and tribulations that I've had in my life, I still hold myself up to a really, really high degree of what I want to accomplish in this world. And then with my Scorpio moon, my emotions are super intense. And that's why I think a lot of my work revolves around the moon, is because of the intensity of the gift of emotion that I have. So I would just say Janae Bell is fully embodied and a goddess, and really learning to step into her womanhood, into her spirituality, and into all that she is to accomplish in this lifetime.
Wow. That sounds wonderful and inspiring and empowering and all of that. Wow.
It took me a long time to say that about myself. So
yes.
I feel proud being able to say that.
Yes, I absolutely love this confidence. That's, to me, it's a spiritual confidence. It's not just confidence coming from the human body mind,
right,
but it's something beyond that can be felt. So how did you uncover this truth about yourself, Janae?
Yeah, it took a lot of work. Honestly, I will be very honest. I uncovered spirituality and the truth about myself through psychedelic therapy. And it was when I turned 26 that I tried mushrooms for the first time, and my entire world was flipped upside down in a good way. And I was revealed everything that I needed to know and do to embody the highest version of myself. And so that involved breaking a lot of generational traumas and patterns in my life. And it involved getting really, really deep into my family history and my ancestral history, and a lot of pain. And through that, and which is still working on, but through it, that's how I kind of came into this soul being that I am.
Wow. What is not to love about that? Being genuine and coming from a place of truth. I always follow that as a principle, a guiding principle. And you made me think about, I have been through too, I did psychedelics before. It was involuntary. I was in this meditation center in France, and they gave me a piece of cake that had some of the, I think, mushrooms in there or something. But I was not really aware of it. So
oh my goodness.
There was an very interesting experience. Yes, because I could see a lot of the hidden truth. It's not just the good, right? It's also the things that we try to run from and escape.
Exactly.
Oh, that was incredible.
Yeah.
And then hearing you, I think about my husband. It came to mind. I visualized him doing that. So my question is, if you don't mind, is psychedelics for everyone?
That's a really good question. I honestly, to the bottom of my heart, think it is. I think if we can get our ego out of the way, I think this gift that the earth and the universe and God gave us to be so natural and healing is absolutely for everybody. I think it definitely depends on, your past history and obviously, most importantly, the environment that you're in. But I think if you are safe and if you go into it with an intention of healing, it's going to really open the veil up and shed so much light that maybe you've never had answers on.
Yeah, that's a very insightful answer. So intention is very important.
Yes, 100%. I've had a lot of people that said, oh, I tried it once and it wasn't for me, or I'm never doing that again. And, I asked them, oh, what are they doing? And they're like, oh, it's at a party or, drinking. And that's not the way you're going to get healing.
For sure.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so that's good to know for those listening. So you are Atlanta Moon Circle Yoga Meditation teacher, the founder of Godness and the Moon. Oh, that took me a little bit time to pronounce. That's interesting, isn't it? It seems to me, if I'm not overanalyzing, about the idea of God being a man. And then something in me almost stopped and said, wait a minute. Of course, I don't have those belief systems. And I try to avoid even. It seems like there was a hesitation there about pronouncing the word goddess. But there is something about the idea, the concept of God being a male figure or the image of a man. Talk to me about what, where, and who is God to you, and how do you kind of make that transition, per se, from God to goddess?
I love that question. It's beautiful. I would say God to me is everything. God is the universe. God is the earth, the stars, the moon, the planets, people, me and you. God is the higher power that created my soul and that protects me and keeps me safe. But the majority of God is in me, and that's how I see God. So I think when I kind of integrate God and goddess, I more so integrate it as God is the sun and goddess is the moon. The sun being a very male, masculine energy, and the moon being very feminine and fluid. So I think since we're everything and we're made up of both masculine and feminine, that's why I love the word goddess, because I think it includes both. And that's how I see the goddess in myself and the God all around me, if that makes sense.
Right, it does, very much does. And we have both, right? As we all have the female and the male. It's called the sacred feminine and masculine. Do you feel that we have lost touch with that gentle, kind, loving side of ourselves?
Yeah, I unfortunately do. I think a lot of it stems from childhood, of course. And I think it stems from a lot of programming and conditioning that, our parents were taught, that we were taught, and that it's very hard to break. So, yeah, I think it takes a lot to break those patterns. And I think no matter what you identify as, yes, I do think we have lost touch with that. And it doesn't matter if you are, a female or a male or non-binary. I do think a lot of society puts so much pressure on how we should live our lives and who we should be and the things that we should accomplish by a certain age. And I think that a lot of it, to our core though, I think every single one of us in this world has what it takes to break that pattern. I think it just takes a lot of healing. And I think that's also the part of life. And that's why we came here on this earth almost as like a school to learn how to integrate soul beings into a human physical existence. So I think it does come with struggle. And I think it does come with losing touch of yourself. And I think that's the journey of life, is to find yourself back again, no matter how long it takes.
A question that I have asked before to some of my guests is, what are the signs that we are ready to heal, ready to go on this journey of uncovering who we are?
I love that. I think, for me, the signs that I had was a lot of curiosity, like just a lot of like patterns in my life where I was doing things over and over again and never getting ahead, never finding peace, never finding confidence, never finding joy. And it got to a point where I was sick of it. And I think that's when like the light turned on and it just was questioning. So I think a lot of it is having that curiosity, questioning why you feel a certain way, and then digging deeper into it. So I think the very first step is just being curious. And also for me, a lot of it was, as much as it does suck in the moment to struggle, it is struggling that teaches you. And I think that's a part of it. I think that's a part of the process. So curiosity, struggling, asking questions, and then getting your thoughts down. Journaling really helped me find myself, get to know myself. And then a big, big thing was meditating and finding meditation. And I hated it at first. I didn't understand it. Like my thoughts are everywhere. And it took me a long time to even just feel the ground beneath me. I would close my eyes and then, guided meditation would say, feel the ground beneath you, feel grounded and present. And that took me a while, but with practice, I was able to finally literally envision the earth holding me up as I meditated. So I think over time, meditation literally heals. Yeah. And I think support, finding a community that supports you. Yeah, there's a lot of things.
I would love to hear more about meditation. You teach meditation, right, Janae? What is the main goal of meditation when we sit down to meditate? Or do we have to sit down to meditate?
You definitely don't have to sit down. I've meditated lots of times standing up. Yeah. I think the main goal of meditation is just finding stillness and real presence and awareness. So I think the part of it when you are meditating and closing your eyes, you're literally quieting the world around you. You're removing any chaos and you're removing anything that you're carrying from your day, anything that's weighing heavy on your shoulders. You're putting it to the side and you're not completely forgetting about it, because it's human to let everything bubble up again. That's the emotions, and that's why we ebb and flow. So I think when we are meditating, the main goal is to just, for a moment, be still.
So that's the main goal, to be still, meaning quieting the mind. We have heard that a lot. But what does it mean to quiet the mind? The thoughts are there, right? We don't pay attention to them. That's how I meditate. But talk to me, what is your perspective on quieting the mind?
I think quieting the mind to me means being able to listen. So I like to meditate outside a lot because of how amazing it is when I am quieting my thoughts, everything that I'm carrying from the day, all of my to-do lists, every plans that I have, the emotions that I feel. I'm putting those aside and I'm listening to the wind. I'm listening to the birds. I even hear like bees and their wings flapping. Like it's just literally just slowing down and getting into my body and disassociating myself from my mind and my thoughts, just allowing myself to, I like to think of it as my soul coming up, and my soul's in control this time rather than my ego and my physical body.
That sounds very much like a very beautiful experience to have, which when you talk about the ego and that contrast. For those who don't know, what is the ego? How do you define what that is?
I think the ego is the part of you that wants to protect you. Yeah. It's the part of you that is mostly fear-based, but it loves you. And it's here to kind of shield you from anything that might get in your way or might be dangerous for you. Like, I think our ego is, our egos know to stop before crossing the street and looking both ways. But our egos also know that when we're meditating, we have laundry to do and we have dishes to wash. So I think ego to me is, the part of us that wants to protect us, but it's not always in the best interest, if that makes sense. It's the very physical, dense part of our human existence that's separate from our soul, which is our true highest selves.
That doesn't need protection. It's in love, right? Yeah, you see, that makes a lot of sense to me. I talk to a lot of people about these topics, and I remember hearing from somebody who said, I treat the ego as a baby because it doesn't know. So it was a very gentle way of
I like that.
Relating to that part of us that is identified with the body mind and believes it is the body. So, I love that, Janae, that way of dancing with it. It's a baby. So what would you do to a baby? Would you try to get rid of it just because it's acting up, doesn't know what to do, and it's making mistakes? We would do the opposite, right? If we really we're tapping into the, especially the moon, the feminine side of ourselves, then we would care for it and we would nurture it and guide it to.
Beautifully said.
So, but it takes trust, doesn't it? It has been my journey, trying to do this, guide the ego, to trust pure consciousness as, per se, it's a name only. I follow a lot of the teachings of Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta. It's non-duality. So,
amazing.
I always say pure consciousness, but we can use the word God, source, and so many other words for that. Not nature, though. Nature will be outside of that in a way, although it's not. It's just a product of pure consciousness.
Right.
Talk to me about the moon circles.
Yeah.
How do you host them and what to expect when we participate?
Yes, I love that. Moon circles are my favorite. So basically, moon circles, they are such an ancient tradition. They've been around for thousands of years, and it is a way for men, women, and all alike to come together, to rest, to heal, to connect with nature, and to learn the phases and the cycles of the moon and how we can manifest through the moon and use it as a tool for manifestation. The moon is such a powerful, fluid, feminine, receptive energy. She controls the tides of our oceans twice a day. She controls our emotions. She pulls and tugs. And just like the moon has its phases, we also go through phases in life. It's the cycles of nature. And we also have cycles of nature in ourselves. And especially being a woman, I'm so in tune and connected with the moon that even, my menstrual cycles are tied to every full moon. And it's pretty beautiful and amazing. And it wasn't always this way. So I would say, like, when you come into alignment and when you come to connection with nature, you will find yourself in tune with the moon. Even if you don't really believe in it, it's there, just like astrology, So with moon circles, it's a way to connect with one another, but also a way to connect back to yourself. And it's also a way to learn about the phases. So when I do my moon circles, we go through every single phase. I talk about the phases, I give information about it, and then we get into meditation and movement. I do like a gentle yoga flow, beginner friendly, just so we can move, get grounded in our bodies. We do some journaling, and then we do a ritual activity which is based on what sign the moon is in. So the moon moves through the zodiac wheel every 2 days. And so every time there's a new moon, it's always in the same sign as the current sun season. And then every time there's a full moon, it's in the opposite sign of the current sun season. And what I think is so interesting is when there is a new moon, the moon is right between the earth and the sun. So the sun is illuminating the moon's shadow from our perspective. So all we see is darkness. All we see are the stars. And the new moon energy is really about setting intentions and getting clarity on what you want to desire and wish for and manifest this cycle. And I kind of love that because when I am looking up at the sky during a new moon, I'm harnessing my inner child and I'm wishing upon the stars, and no dream is too big or too small. And so that's the intention that you set during the new moon, which is going to be the energy that you carry through this 29.5-day cycle. So when we go into the waxing phase of the moon, so as the moon is orbiting the earth, the sun is starting to shine its light as it's starting to get more full. And it takes different shapes as a crescent, and then a half moon, and then a waxing gibbous where it's pretty full, but not quite yet. And during this waxing phase is where you take all of those intentions that you set during the new moon and you put them into action. You work towards your dreams. You show discipline and determination for what you want to come true. And you work really hard at it. And you don't stop. And the full moon is a way to illuminate and to shine light on everything that is working for you and everything that's not working for you. So the full moon is when the earth is right between the moon and the sun. So from our perspective, the sun is fully shining the moon's light. So it looks really big. It's really powerful. It's really yellow. It's amazing. There's a full moon. Depending on your time zone, it's going to be tonight around 9 or midnight. So I'm very excited. It's so beautiful. And full moons are a time of celebration and reflecting and releasing. So you're looking back at all of the intentions that you set during the new moon, and you're expressing gratitude for everything that you've manifested up until this point. And when you start to work with the moon, you start to realize how easy it is to manifest, how wonderful it is working with nature and the universe and just having faith, because you start to literally become a magnet to everything that you want to attract. And then you start to reflect and you start to think of the things that maybe you might need to do better, things that you might need to change. And as you're releasing, you're fully letting everything go. You're setting intentions to release during the full moon. And I love full moon so much. My partner and I have a tradition where every full moon we draw or we paint, or tomorrow we're going to the mountains to be under the full moon. And so it's going to be really beautiful. And then after the full moon is the waning phase. So as the moon is orbiting the earth, it's going back into its shadow. The sun is starting to slowly lose its light, and it starts off really big and full, the waning gibbous, and then it goes into another half moon lit on the opposite side, and then it goes into the waning crescent. It's that little sliver of light. And waning phase energy is completely opposite of waxing phase. It's really about rest and relaxation and self-care and not putting pressure on yourself to get things done. So it's time to take a break and be human for a little bit. And energetically, the universe wants that for you. The universe wants you to slow down so that you can have the momentum to build back up again. As once the waning phase is over, the new moon comes back around and the cycle restarts. So it's a really beautiful practice that you have. Every month you get a new moon and every month you get a full moon. So you're constantly shedding and releasing. You're constantly creating and manifesting. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful practice.
Right. I have a little moon in my room. I always,
Nice.
It's interesting how, like you said something very interesting. Even if we are not aware of, or we don't know or believe in, it's there, like astrology. It's not something that we are under the effects of that.
Yeah.
It's the law of nature, isn't it? The law, the powers of nature.
Exactly.
And what do you do with the moon circles? What comes to me is that we are becoming aware of that alignment, or become aligned with nature, because we are nature itself. We are not separate from it.
Yep.
We are being affected anyway. With that in mind, I have to add my personal experience with the moon is that sometimes I have some feelings, and they're very tender feelings, and and I feel very sensitive. And then it's almost as if the moon, the energies of the moon, it guides me outside to look at it. And then I go outside and I look at it. It happens once, twice a month.
Wow. That's
So
beautiful.
that's what it is, right, Janae? It's just, it's being guided by natural powers, natural
Constantly.
laws. Yeah, we all under that beautiful circle, as you call it,
Right.
in cycles.
Exactly.
Please talk to me about the upcoming classes and services. I know the Mama Blessings is one that we mentioned. We talked off record for a moment.
Yes. So upcoming classes, I always host new moon and full moon circles virtually. So that can be found on my Eventbrite under Goddess in the Moon. But I'm very excited that I am offering new services, private events, mama blessings and bridal blessings, and hopefully baby blessings in the future. But yeah, I just did a mama blessing this past weekend, and it just reaffirmed and reassured, all of that Cancer energy in me. I'm just so ready to bring this out to the world. But basically, a mama blessing is an indigenous tradition called a blessing way. And this is when they would celebrate and dance and honor the mother to be in a very spiritual and beautiful ceremony. So it's an alternative baby shower in the Western world. It's where, instead of gifts and monetary value, we honor the mother and we quiet and we slow down and we embrace her as she embarks on a new journey and as she travels, to the stars to retrieve her child's soul, to bring them home to this physical earth side. We honor that journey and we prepare her for it through blessings, like meditation and painting her belly and giving her a foot massage and making her a flower crown and just making her feel very empowered and giving her the strength for her to go on as she gives birth.
Wow. Yeah, that really, as I said before we started this conversation, recording the conversation, I saw an image on your website. It's really beautiful. And every time I see a woman, a pregnant woman, there's something about the belly, even looks like a moon, the roundedness, right? It's like
it does.
The feminine.
It's so beautiful. It's just like a portal, for the beautiful soul of the child to become coming through this soul of the mother to be birthed into this physical world so that they can share a lifetime together as they were souls that were picked for each other in this lifetime. So it's beautiful to honor that. And then the same with the bridal blessings, where we honor a union and a commitment to a deep, deep kind of love. And it's beautiful. It's the same situation, flower crowns and talking about fears and releasing fears and making the bride feel super empowered and womanly and feminine and beautiful as she prepares to, cherish this lifetime with her partner.
It is the work of healing, isn't it? That's being done. And this is something that, let's say, has an end. How do we start to actually feel when we are healed, Janae, from we have learned the lessons that we are supposed to learn in this lifetime? I would love to hear that from you.
Yeah, how do we start to feel when we are healed?
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm still healing, but I think I've come so far in my healing journey. So I think when you start to feel when you are healing, because I don't think we'll ever be completely healed. That's the whole part of being on this earth is a healing journey. But I think when you are in the process of healing, you start to feel open. You feel optimistic. You feel positive. You feel joy. And then that is the world that is coming back and is reflecting outwards of what you are feeling is exactly what's going to happen around you. So I think when you are going on a journey of healing, you start to feel protected, you feel safe, and you feel, you're not alone. And honestly, the spiritual journey can be very lonely because a lot of people aren't necessarily conscious or spiritually conscious in that way. But when you are healing and in that journey, in that process, you know for a fact that you're not alone. And sometimes it really is just going out in nature. Sometimes it's staring at the stars. Most of the time it's working with the moon, but really even seeing angel numbers, is a sign. But I think it's just an inner knowing, and it's a feeling that every single one of us has inside of us. So I think just knowing when you are in the process of healing is just to feel. And maybe that's crying, maybe that's purging, maybe that's dancing, and maybe it's picking up yoga or Pilates or some type of moving meditation where you feel grounded in your body. It's giving nutrients in the food that you eat. So being aware of the food that you're eating, what you're putting in your body, it's really just being in alignment. And that just comes with a feeling that I think you'll just know.
Will definitely know. It has been my case. Moving feelings, fearful feelings, and making them into loving feelings or grateful feelings. It's easier to shift now. I remember that before was much harder. But my practice is a bit different. It comes from the understanding that we are already perfect and complete and whole and fulfilled.
Yeah.
So there's nothing to be added to that pure consciousness or the soul. You could call the soul. I know that some people use the word soul, some spirit. Do you actually make a distinction between them, the spirit and the soul, Janae? Or
I don't. I think it's all everything, just like how I think God is me, God is you, God is nature, God is everything. So that's how I feel about the soul as well.
Yeah. So it's a reality it fulfills itself. So once we are in touch with that, in a sense of realizing that, then there's not really much to be done. I mean, in the sense of trying to make yourself complete and happy, because that's your essence, that's our essence, that's who we are. We're already there. But there's the practice of kind of bringing, as I mentioned before, the ego, the body-mind complex that have been practicing for so long under fear, making choices from fear, that needs to be, that those energies need to be redirected and in alignment with the divine energy. That seems to be the work when I engage in any spiritual practices. But now with the intention to become better, to become whole or happier or more peaceful. But it's bringing those qualities to the body-mind, because that's those two areas that takes longer per se. It might be, right? It's a DNA thing too, cells and all that.
Yeah, I think it's an integration for sure. And I will say, like, when I first was in my spiritual journey, I was very much in the 5D astral projecting, very psychic. It was intense. It was a very intense spiritual awakening. And the challenge for me was integrating it into the physical world, into the dense energy of the 3D. It was really hard. And now I've found a perfect balance, so if I'm trying to astral project, during my dreams or lucid dream, I need to spend my day eating really good food, meditating, doing yoga, and really having this earth way of being, so that so my soul can go on a journey when I go to sleep, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Very much does. I never heard it that way, but that makes so much sense. The way I think about the practices that we engage with, even now, what do you do? It's really like, I know it's kind of funny in a way, but it's almost bringing the elephant to the water, to the river to drink water. But then what do we do? It's training, isn't it? It's training. It's because it's heavy, and it's not always will answer us the way we want it to answer. That's something that I have found out, especially when I'm 46 now. The menstruation every month, it seems like it's coming to an end, but it's becoming a lot more intense. The body, it's almost like an earthquake. Everything's shaking, and See, but that's being perceived. I'm very aware of it, and I let it do what it does. I'm not trying to get in the way of the process.
Surrender.
Yes, right. But it's not easy. Even the witnessing of that, of course, consciousness is the experience. It's experiencing that, of course. And then is that something that I have to ask? We're almost at the end, but I have to ask that because it's been my challenge at the moment. Is that something that most women experience, Janae, from your perspective? I know you're younger than me, but or have you been in touch with some women who are going through perimenopause or menopause? What does it mean, those change within the realm of nature? What is it trying to say?
Oh, that's a really good question. And yes, a lot of women that come to my moon circles are older, and I have a mixture of ages, but I'm not quite there yet, but I do know that I think, especially when they come in and it's such a sharing, beautiful space that we open up a sacred space to. And I think it's just honoring, the changes in our life and getting older and seeing it as a spiritual experience. And with age comes wisdom. So yeah, I think most women do experience it. And I think when you do connect and align with nature, it's just a way to protect you and make you feel safe and make you feel optimistic about the journey that you're on. Because from becoming, they call it like the crone, it's such a beautiful rite of passage to become older and to experience these changes in your body. So when you align with the changes, you're opening up for anything else to flow to you and come your way. So yeah, I don't know if that answered your question, but I think it's a beautiful way to embrace what is happening in your body. And it's beautiful to be curious. And so to get the answers or to get the protection that you need, find a ritual around it. That's how I feel I heal from anything or anything that I'm curious about or anything that I want to know. I find a ritual so I can connect to the universe. I can connect to God. So it can give me guidance.
Right. Yes. What you said about change, right? Learning to embrace change. It's not even learning in a way, but it's being aware that life is change. So it will change. All this will change. So that's what's happening. And I have the ending questions for you, Janae. But before that, would you like to add anything else that you left unsaid for today?
All I can say is I really hope that people find just peace and stillness in the world. And whatever it is, you don't even have to use the moon, but if you do align with the moon, I just know for a fact that you're going to really start to love every part and aspect of your life and the journey that you're on. And I am here as someone to hold you as you rediscover yourself. And so I just hope to build a community, and I really appreciate you having me on.
Yes. Thank you so much for being you. That's what we need to see more, the uncovering of our true selves. So my ending question, I'll ask you this one. What is another word for freedom?
Ooh, okay, let me think. What's another word for freedom? Oh man, the only word that came up to mind several times is surrender. I think when you fully let go, that is freedom, and you're just trusting the journey, you're trusting the process. It's surrender, it's faith, it's trust. And I think that's what creates freedom, is just not worrying.
Wow, that's a powerful answer. That resonates true to me. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And then the question is, who is surrendering? And that is the part of us that wants to control the experience, right, Janae?
Right.
And own it, right?
Yeah.
So my last question is, what 3 experiences you wish everyone to have before they lose the body, before they die?
Oh my gosh, that is a beautiful question. One experience is love. Unconditional love, and not just with partners, but love through everything. So love with, number 1, yourself, love with nature, love with partners that maybe come and go or stay for a lifetime, love with friends, love with family, love with pets, love with animals, love for everything. That's so important. Another experience I would say is, I think, let's see, another experience. That's a deep question. You know what? I would love for people to experience a spirit guide. I've found that I was saved by my spirit guide. And a spirit guide is literally what it sounds like, a spirit that's been here to guide you on this physical plane through the earth. And it can be anything or anyone. And I think a beautiful way to find your spirit guide is to meditate and just trust that there's something that you're connected to, whatever that is. It can be someone or, anything that's passed on, but it can also be here in this earth. And if you're feeling that way, to really open your heart to it, because then it takes away the loneliness. And it's just a beautiful connection to have between spirit and earth side. And another experience I would say is just harmony and balance. And whatever that looks like for you, I mean, for me, it's been a life-saving journey through yoga and meditation. But I think harmony and balance is an experience that I hope everyone has in their life, because I think when we do find balance and we do find harmony in the world, everything that we're feeling as a mirror is reflected back to us in this physical form. So we're all mirrors. And if we're all balanced and we all find harmony in ourselves, we're going to literally create this beautiful existence of the world. And, there won't be as much chaos and trauma. And that's what I hope everyone gets to experience, that it can make their lifetimes here on earth really beautiful. And then also mine, just seeing that person happy and enjoy.
Thank you so much again, Janae, for your presence,
Thank you.
Your beautiful presence, your beautiful work, and everything that you represent. It's very close to my heart. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your beautiful wisdom.
And before we say goodbye for today, where is the best place to find more information about you and what you do?
Yeah, the best place I would say is you can follow me on Instagram. It's at goddess_and_the_moon. And my website, goddess-andthemoon.com. If you have Eventbrite, you can type in Goddess and the Moon, and that's where a lot of my virtual classes are posted. And those are the main three.
Wonderful. Thank you again, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you so much.
Bye for now.
Have a great day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. To learn more about Janae and her work, please visit goddess-andthemoon.com.
To learn more about this podcast, please visit fitforjoy.org/podcast. Thank you again for listening, and bye for now.